Okay, so first of all, Paul, how long have you been involved with the All Whites setup now?
So I'm just coming into 3 years. It started off for me by working with one of the coaches that was training with the under-17s, and basically that rolled into our under-20s. And then once Ricky Herbert stepped down, then we took over as interim staff, and then now with Anthony, just carry on as normal. So yeah, about 3 years or so with New Zealand.
And what does your role involve?
So it's developed over the last couple of years. With goalkeeping coaching it used to be take the goalkeepers, have them for 10 minutes, bring them in, and then you just stand and watch. Under the new head coach with Anthony, with the responsibilities come a lot more with organising of set plays, attacking, defending, working with the back four as well as the goalkeeper, and then also just making sure that we've done enough scouting and preparation on the teams we're playing against. So it's been more than just goalkeepers.
And where have you gained your experience with goalkeeping from?
So myself, that's what I did back in the UK. I played football full time. That was my job, and I moved to New Zealand for a better way of life, really, with the kids when they were younger, and I retired. And then, unfortunately, football sucks you back into it. So it gets me back in with the football club, then Auckland City, and then into New Zealand. So I have lots of experience of playing and coaching at various levels as well.
And how do you teach a goalkeeper to deal with the pressures that perhaps another position might not have to deal with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the goalkeeper is one that where if you make a mistake, it's pretty much a goal, and the sort of psyche of a goalie has to be slightly different to some of the outfield players. They hold a lot of responsibility. So basically what we try to do with us at New Zealand Football is we have a goalkeeping DNA where, as a goalie coach, as the head national goalie coach for the guys, I'm working with the under-17s, under-20s, All Whites, Olympics, all of those age group goalkeepers, talking to them, bringing them into camps, catching up with them as much as we can, so they can get as much experience at the national level. So when they do get their opportunity to play, it shouldn't be such a shock or a scare. So yeah, it's definitely something we have to work on with them, and every keeper's different, as every person is.
And you've got the OFC Nations Cup coming up soon with the All Whites in Papua New Guinea. Yep. Do you feel a certain pressure going into it being the top ranked team? Does that faze you?
There's always a pressure of being the top. Right? It's nice going into a game, sometimes, as you said, to be an underdog. So let's do what we can do. But football's very strong in New Zealand and in the islands. Some of the countries that we'll be playing against have been on various tours all across the world preparing for this tournament as well. We go into camp on Monday, and we have a camp in Auckland for a week, and then we fly to Brisbane for 2 weeks, and then we go into PNG for the tournament. So the team will be pretty much fully prepared by the time we get there. So it will be a pressure, but every time you play there's a pressure, so it's better to be a pressure of being the best than the weakest. Yeah.
And what's the team environment like coming up to a tournament like this?
So to start, basically the camps that we do, where we've been away to other countries when we've played in the FIFA windows, it's really good. It's great to get all the boys back together. So some of the full All Whites coming in with some of the under-20s, some of the under-23s, and it's just to get everybody back in and everybody training and playing every day again together. It's going to be a real buzz. The culture's very good within the group. Yeah.
And how do you find the experience now being on the sideline as opposed to being in the goal yourself?
Yeah, I'd always want to play still. I think I can. I think I'm 21 and I think I can play, but unfortunately, my back and bones don't let me. So what I can do for the keepers then is I can then look after them from the sideline. So if they're doing something or I see something that's not going right, I can instruct them. If Anthony's not sure of a situation that's occurred with the keepers, I can answer those questions and just basically support those all the way through. On match days, the goalie coach, that's my job, is just to make sure the keepers have got everything they need and they're fully prepared to do the best for the team. So it is tough watching, and I do feel like I'll be better out there. I can control it more, but hey, that's just my controlling nature, I think.
And have you found other teams in the OFC group have kind of closed the gap in more recent years? Is it a tougher competition now than it used to be, do you think?
I do. It's to the level now where in the under-17s and under-20 World Cup qualifiers that's coming up later on this year, there's 2 teams. So OFC have got 2 places in the World Cup, and that's because the competition has been better, so they warrant enough to have 2 teams in. So the next under-20 World Cup, you'll see whether it be a Fiji and a New Zealand or Vanuatu and New Zealand, but New Zealand hopefully, which has led to the development of the national teams have been much better. Very physical, very competitive, very technically good, and their game understanding is getting better now as the coaches are getting better over there.
Okay, and will the climate in Papua New Guinea kind of affect the team? Is that something you have to kind of train for, or...?
Yeah, so it does. We were over there for the tournament, which was the it all talked about the Olympic qualifier ones last year to Papua New Guinea as well, and lots of preparation for us. We kick off at 2 o'clock most days over there, which is the height of temperature. The island teams are pretty used to it. It's always going to be tough for us. The medical staff, the sports science staff have done a lot of work now, so with ice vests, ice baths, recovery drinks, everything that you would need to do, rest. The hotel where we stay, everything's all prepared. Our management staff go out prior to us turning up to make sure everything's ready. So when we come in, it's at the best level possible. So there's no stone unturned in making sure that we're right, but ultimately when you're running around out there for 90 minutes in that heat, it does take its toll.
And coming back to local stuff, grassroots stuff,
Yep.
What kind of role has Warkworth AFC played in your footballing life?
It's got me back into football. So I had a year or so of doing very little over in New Zealand, and then my son started playing, so we started getting involved with Warkworth, and then I got myself involved with Warkworth just to meet people and get into the community, and looked after the club, made lots of good friends from there, played lots of football, and that, to be perfectly honest, gave me the opportunity to start my path in football in New Zealand, because we played in a Chatham Cup game down against Central. I played in that game, and from that game, that's where I signed for Auckland, and that's where my coaching and everything all started again in New Zealand. So, yeah, I owe that club a lot. I still do the girls' team down there, and I'm registered to play for the over 35s when I'm available, or if I'm picked. But yeah, they're there. It's been a really good club. It's been a good hub for me. Yeah. Did
you ever see yourself becoming a coach, or was you just thought player, and then that would kind of be it?
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought I'd be able to play forever. I think that was my biggest thing. And then the goalie coach is probably the only coach in the coaching staff that need to still be pretty active, I believe, because we're serving little demos, leading by examples. Whereas a lot of, you look in the Premier League and Arsene Wenger and people like this that are quite old, you probably wouldn't see them running around the field too much now. They use their experience. So, and that's what I use. And the keepers that we're working with as well are good guys, so it's good international level, so it's good.
And what would you say to someone out there, a young person aiming for the All Whites, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so basically we'd be playing in New Zealand. You probably need to play as many games as you can as a goalkeeper. Lots of experiences happen in games. So I think find yourself a trainer first that can help you along the way. It's difficult at club level where the club coach has 14 players and a goalie, and okay, just join in and it's easy from there. So maybe finding a goalie coach, there's a few people around, and then playing regularly, enough to get yourself noticed, and then just have a passion for it. Really, to start with is to enjoy it. There's very good pathways through the Northern Football Federation in our area. And that also then leads, if you're doing well with those, that leads into national talent centres with New Zealand football, and that's where the national age group keepers get picked from. So there's a good pathway. The youth development in New Zealand with the football setup itself is very strong. Okay,
and just last of all, say you're playing a game in the OFC Nations Cup and your keeper has conceded one goal, you're down 1-0 at half time. Mm-hmm. What would you say to him?
Yeah, so they look for you most of the time, the keepers. So if it was, say, we're talking about Stefan Mrunovic, he started, and as we're walking off the field, most of the keepers, we normally meet before we walk into the changing room, and I can gauge what the manager or the Anthony would feel like. If he feels it was a mistake from the keeper, then I might be able to give the goalkeeper a bit of a heads up, just relax, listen, take it on board. But to be honest, these national goalkeepers, they know if they've made a mistake and they know what to do. It's just a matter really at that time is normally an arm around the shoulder, heads up, let's get back out, move on from that mistake. And most of the time that works and they do well. And then the analysing of the game comes after. The next day we'll sit down and look at things properly, dig out problems, and then work them on the training field. But yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.